Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Not Minding My Own Business. I'm Russell Farbiars, your estate planning and elder law attorney, and I am joined here today by Tanya Mace of Guild Mortgage. Hey, Tanya, how are you doing today?
I'm fantastic, living the dream. How about you?
pretty, pretty much the same. Now, Tanya and I go back probably about 10 years. Tanya actually helped me get a mortgage on the house that I'm in now about 10 years ago, and she did such a fantastic job that I'm
Thank you.
excited to have her here today to talk
Oh,
to everyone.
sweet. Thank you.
So welcome. So so Tanya, can you tell us a little bit about your business? You're with Guild Mortgage now. So
Yes.
tell our listeners a little bit about what you're doing.
So Guild Mortgage acquired my previous company where I was working called Residential Mortgage Services back in August of 2021. And Guild is a national lender, a direct lender, and they were established back in 1960. So they have a very
Wow.
long tenure. And our company kind of like fit like a puzzle piece where they were missing a national footprint in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic corridor. So it worked out perfectly. I still work with all the same amazing people and basically continue on my mission of dedicating my life to making homeownership a reality in the lives of the people I touch and educating them along the way and relaxing and having fun in the process too. I like to joke around and make it a little lighthearted. It doesn't have to be so serious, but yeah, it's working beautifully. 25 years I've been doing this now, so it's hard to
Wow.
believe. Yeah.
Well, 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 Tanya, you don't look like you've been doing it 25 years. I would expect after 25 years in the mortgage business for there to be gray hairs and wrinkles and uh, uh,
Yeah.
you
Maybe
know
other people, but I'm not going to let that happen. I I try and make things fun and keep it real.
well, i- and one thing I remember from working with you is that you're also very open to finding creative solutions, and you know you don't say no, you say how can we get there.
I do. I'm a problem solver. There's a solution for every problem. I like to think outside the box.
Yeah, and that I remember that being very very helpful, because of course I never do something that's inside the box, so
Yeah,
it needs someone like you.
for
Uh,
sure. For
but
sure.
what are some of those out of box solutions though that you come up with for clients over your career?
I like to really take a look at the whole picture, not just what appears to be surface level. And, I ask a lot of questions of my clients, trying to find out what their goals are, why they're looking for the home, what purpose is it serving, how long are they going to be there? And, is putting a large down payment making the most sense, or can we reallocate funds to pay off some debt? If you're looking to get pre-approved for a certain amount or looking to borrow a certain amount, how can we make that number happen? It's really all encompassing. It's not just a credit report and a W-2. There's about 30,000 pages of government guidelines and regulations that it's my job to know. So when you know the ins and outs of all of those, you get to find, those loopholes that really can make a difference between getting someone a loan or not.
Yeah, and I'm sure that I mean, I know from experience that's helpful. Your knowledge. I One of the things I remember was you saved us tons of money on PMI or private mortgage insurance by convincing us to pay it up front on a conventional loan. So maybe tell our listeners a little bit about what PMI is and how it works.
So PMI is private mortgage insurance, and that is the insurance that lenders require when you have less than 20% down on a home. And their traditional, PMI was always paid per month, and there was really no other way around it. But, years upon years ago, the PMI companies got a little creative and started coming up with some different options. like a lump sum, just like any other insurance. If you pay the full amount, you get a significant discount. Same thing for private mortgage insurance. It protects the lender against the foreclosure or default. In the event that there is a defaulted situation, the lender will get reimbursed. Unfortunately, the borrower's still not off the hook. They still have to pay for the insurance, and they would still have a default or a foreclosure on their record. But paying it in a lump sum once and done as part of your closing costs, or you can finance it into the loan in some cases, saves you considerably. Usually the break-even point is about 3 years versus PMI typically is paid for anywhere from 10 to 12 years, before it would drop off. And once you have that 20% equity, so if you're just putting 3 or 5% down, you would generally pay that mortgage insurance for 10 or 12 years, but paying it in a lump sum, you usually recover the cost a lot more quickly. So it's a real no-brainer. It becomes cost prohibitive though, for people who may not have as good credit. So, borrowers who are in that mid 600, low 600, it becomes pretty expensive. So it's not as good of an option.
Okay. And now you said that you pay it up until you get to 20%. So does the lender automatically remove it if you're paying it monthly and until when you get to 20% down, or do you have to apply for that?
So there's a couple. It's interesting that you asked that question. They're great questions. The ones that I get almost every day, quite honestly. So with mortgage insurance, it won't drop off automatically until you're at 78% loan to value. You can request it to be removed prior to that, and it's at the lender's discretion. They're going to look and make sure that the property value hasn't decreased or that you haven't missed any payments, but you can request it to be removed once you believe you're at 80%, either naturally through making your payments or just by virtue of, the value of being increased, or maybe you've done home improvements, or you've put a lump sum, payment, or you're aggressively paying your mortgage down. You can request it to be removed before that.
So in this real estate market we find ourselves in here in 2022, where prices and property values have gone up exponentially, a borrower could potentially request that be removed a lot sooner than that 10-year or 12-year, because
Sure.
their property is probably worth more, and that would change the loan to value calculation.
Absolutely. And I was also, when the rates went to 3, below 3, sub 3, mid 3, I had borrowers who had purchased homes a couple of years before, 2018, 2019. I was refinancing them. They had gained, a significant amount of equity in between, some of which were able to drop their PMI just by, a matter of a couple of years. That's how much their property values had increased. That's the last couple of years. Of course, we know that's a little bit of an anomaly. That was not sustainable. It was unlikely to continue. Our government was keeping mortgage rates artificially low by injecting, billions of dollars into the mortgage-backed securities market. So now we're entering into more of a normal, mortgage rate environment where, the conversations I'm having with borrowers, about equity gain right now, that's probably makes up the larger portion of my conversations with buyers. Should they buy now or should they wait? And the answer couldn't be more, yes, you should resoundingly buy now, because that old saying, the best time to buy a home was 5 years ago. It's more true today than ever, for so many reasons. And if you'd like to hear all the reasons, I'm happy to share the conversations I'm having.
Yeah, I mean, why don't we talk about some of those reasons why now is the right time? Starting with rates, and I don't want to get into specific rates because they change on a daily basis,
Minute by minute.
minute by minute. But what are the different? I guess when we start here, what are the different types of loan packages that you can offer?
I think most lenders, because a lot of people don't know that the government regulates the mortgage process. It is basically our government sponsored entities, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, make all the rules for the mortgages. Like I mentioned, there's about 30,000 pages of guidelines for the different programs, that you hear. Conventional loans technically conforming loans are governed by a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. Then there's Federal Housing Administration, which is FHA, Veteran, which is VA, USDA, zero down payment, USDA, yes, US Department of Agriculture has a program that's a zero down payment. And then there's first time home buyer programs through the state of Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania Housing, all which offer, various interest rates. The rates differ based on the program as well. But in general, rates are right now what are considered, a normal area, which a lot of people were spoiled with those lower rates, not realizing that the government was making that happen. So we're still below the 100-year average. 100-year average rate is just below 8%. So we're still good.
Yeah. Well, and I have this conversation with people too, because I think because rates have been in that, sub 5 area since, really since what, like the mid 2000s, it really.
Right. So we're here in November of 2022.
Yeah. Right. So for like the last 20-ish years, we've seen those rates, but really the average is really somewhere around 8%. And if you go back to like the late 1970s, early 1980s,
14, 15, 16, 18%.
Right. So we've all been spoiled.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
my parents got a rock bottom 14%, put 20% down and had to pay 2 points to get that rock bottom rate.
That's right. So I think it's all about perspective.
Yeah, for sure.
And the interest rates, of course, might make it so that you can't buy quite as expensive of a house because you got higher interest charges. But what do you tell a borrower who says, "Oh, well, interest rates are too high. I think I want to rent for another year"? What do you tell them?
Oh, that's a very excellent question. And, after a conversation with me, many buyers are like, wow, I'd be foolish not to buy right now. It's basically what you're telling me, and generally right now, people don't realize that the housing inventory is the lowest that it's ever been. And there's a number of reasons for that. Number one is the millennials, that age group of 28 to 35, they're the largest demographic of the home buying age since the baby boomers. And, now young people are buying homes. When you and I were buying homes, I'm not sure how old you are, but I'm 50. I just turned 50. It was unheard of to buy a home unless you were in a committed relationship. Our parents were buying homes, married and probably with a kid before they bought homes, and we're putting 20% down. Now more singles are buying homes than ever. Then you have people who are divorcing, that's another household that's being created. Construction all but slowed, if not halted, during the pandemic. They don't make more land. Builders are finding supply chain issues to be a problem, finding skilled workers, skilled tradesmen. So construction is about 4 to 5 million housing units short nationwide. Rents are going up. Rents were up 14% just in the last 2 years. So all of those reasons are causing, adding to the housing inventory shortage. You have people moving from the cities because of the health situation. They want to get, out of those really, populated areas, so to speak. And they're buying up a lot of housing in your more rural areas, your smaller towns. More and more people are now working from home remotely than ever before. Companies who wouldn't have ever dreamed of letting their entire staff work remotely now are shutting down their brick and mortar, and people can literally live anywhere and work. So, people who were, tied to or chained to their jobs having to be in a certain area now are, maybe moving out of a condo or a high-rise apartment building and buying a home in more affordable areas. So our housing, inventory in Berks County is the lowest it's ever been. Just the last several months, thankfully, we've gotten a few more listings, but that means that the housing shortage, property values are going to continue to increase. The last 7 out of 9 recessions housing has stayed the same or gained in value. So in Berks County, last 60 years, it's about 3 to 5% appreciation, historical average. We can't count the last 2 years because, that was 10, 12, 15% appreciation. So I tell people, okay, you buy a house for $200,000, you put your minimum down payment, let's say you invest $20,000 to buy a home with your minimum down plus your closing costs. That $200,000 house gains 4%, between 3 and 5 in equity in 12 months. So 4% equity on 200,000 is $8,000, and you gain, $8,000 in equity in 12 months for your $20,000 investment. Well, that's a 40% return on your money. So where else are we going to get a 40% return on your investment? In your checking account? No. Money market? No. Heck no. Maybe a financial advisor. I've never met a financial advisor that's that good.
That's 10%. Small order. Yeah.
Yeah. Stock market, if you're really lucky.
Yeah. That's why, real estate continues to be a fantastic investment. The downside is there are costs, when you own real estate, you have to maintain it and whatnot. But I never looked at it exactly how you just put it. But when you think about that, a 40% increase, I mean, that's just amazing.
And you have to think about it that way, because it's like an investment, just like anything else. I mean, if you put your money into just some stagnant savings account, you're just going to earn a few dollars here or there. I mean, real estate has always been and always will be the best place to invest your money. More wealth has been earned globally by the investment of real estate than any other. It's at the top of the list every single time. So, people can cry and complain about, what the current rates are. We're still below the 100-year average, and rates the last 7 recessions have come down after the recession. So rates will come back down again. Will they be the 3%? No, because government spent trillions of dollars to get them there. Probably will normalize somewhere around 5. Even if they stay at 7, I bought my first house around 7%, and that was, 2000s. I think it was 6 3/8%. My husband bought his first house at 7.7%. So this is normal for us.
Yeah. We bought our first house in 2009. That was before I knew you. And we got a 5% rate. And I thought to myself at the time, I'm never going to see anything better than that. And boy, I was wrong. But I look at, 5, 6, 7%, and yeah, we've been spoiled, but it's not.
And renting is 100% interest, by the way.
That's very true, because you're not earning any equity when you rent. You're helping someone else earn equity, but you're not getting any of it.
Exactly. So for me, it's that kind of conversations that I have when people ask me, should I buy now or should I wait? And when I share the data, because the data doesn't lie. No. You can look up this data. You can just go on Google, and any statistic website will show you the graphs and the charts of everything that I just shared, as far as historical.
Yeah, absolutely. So now, Tanya, what now you've convinced everyone that they need to buy a house and get a mortgage. What are those like top 5 things once you're in underwriting that people do that really mess things up that they should know not to do?
Well, that doesn't happen on my transactions, because I bully people in the beginning saying, don't do any of this, because if you do. So I spend a lot of time, going through the do's and don'ts of, once you're pre-approved, you can't be going and buying a jet ski, a boat, a motorcycle. You can't just miss any payments. You can't take the funds that you have saved for your down payment and closing costs and go to Atlantic City and put it all on black. You need to, make sure that you're keeping your credit and your usage of your funds, your cash flow, keep it the same. Don't change jobs. That even means don't change the position, even if you are in the same company. I had somebody that went from a salaried position to a commission position, and they thought, well, because they were at the same company, that it wasn't a problem. So I do spend a lot of time going over those do's and don'ts, with borrowers. Getting their credit inquired, is another one that they shouldn't be doing once they're pre-approved.
Yeah, I'm sure you've had plenty of those phone calls where someone has done something and then you can't close, or you have to create some explanation for it.
It's just a phone call. If you're thinking about doing anything, I had somebody that unfortunately totaled their car during the mortgage process, and they really had no choice, but they had to buy another vehicle, and it ended up in a payment. So we had to figure out how to circumvent that, and that's where the creativity and thinking outside the box sometimes comes in.
For sure, because
I had somebody rent a vehicle for 30 days. It ended up being less of a problem.
Well, Tanya, how did you get started in mortgage work?
Oh my gosh. Well, I went to Kutztown University to be a teacher because I didn't know what else to do. I first started in general studies in community college, and then I thought, okay, I'll be a teacher. And I was really interested in physical fitness at the time. I wanted to actually be a physical therapist, but because I was putting myself through college, had to work, while I was in college to support myself, that wasn't an option that I could do because it was like 1,500 hours of unpaid internship observation. So I ended up going to be a teacher and minored in phys ed and art. So then fast forward my senior year, I'm going through my student teaching and said, dear God, what have I done? I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I have a special place in my heart for the dedication of teachers because
Absolutely.
it is, they have such a great responsibility, with our youth. And I was not that person. But I still look at it as teaching because I am educating my clients,
I was
on
going to
mortgages.
say you are an educator.
I am.
It's just not in a classroom setting, but you are absolutely an educator.
So I got my degree in elementary education without my certification because my first student teaching was in Ole Valley. And I remember a child coming in the morning and they had grass and stains all over their feet and their shoes and sneakers were wet. And I said, did you walk to school, fourth grader? And he said, no, I had to mow the grass this morning. And I was like, I can't, I'm not cut out for this. My heart would break every day, and I would want to, get into fights with some parents probably. I'm like, this probably isn't for me. So I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I went to Manpower and they put me through like a battery of, aptitude, occupational analysis of, where they thought I would be successful. And they said, well, we think you'll be successful in banking. And I was like, I'm not really that great at math. What? I don't even like math. So I got a job at Santander, Sovereign Bank at the time, in their direct banking center. And I started opening up checking and savings accounts. And then I went into home equity loans and home equity lines of credit. And then I got recruited by one of my managers at the time. And she said, I think you'll be good in mortgage. So then I actually went to, it was Pennsylvania National Bank, Keystone Financial Mortgage, and they put you through like a 3-week Mortgage 101 training course. And I got paid a salary at the time, and there started the rest of my life. I was actually pretty good at it, surprisingly.
Maybe not surprisingly,
problem
but
solving more than math.
Yeah, I mean the calculator does the math for you.
You still have to put the right numbers in.
This is true. It's funny. I went to law school because I wasn't that good at math, and I find that all I do is math. So it's all calculations of
Yeah.
different types.
Mhm.
So, we all try to get away from math, but really it's central to what we do.
Yeah.
But, you know, it sounds like you found your calling, and you said your mission is to make homeownership
A reality.
a reality for people, and it's that's just great to have you in the community. Have
So-
you been a Berks County resident your whole life?
No, actually, I grew up in Montgomery County, like Collegeville area.
Okay.
And then I went to Kutztown. And then I met my husband, and we lived in Kutztown for till about 2003. And then we ended up moving to Douglasville. So I've been in Douglasville since about 2003. So yeah, close. I mean, neighboring county.
Yeah. What is your fondest memory of Berks County?
Well, probably I always loved the farmers market. We didn't really have farmers markets in Montgomery County. So the farmers market is something I really enjoyed. I actually haven't been to the farmers markets in it's quite a while, but I love just driving through the countryside and, Oldie area and seeing, the rolling hills, so to speak.
Mhm.
A lot less congested.
Yes.
uh, Everybody talks about the pagoda. Would you believe I've never been to the pagoda?
I've only been up to the Pagoda maybe once or twice because it's such a pain to get up there.
Yeah.
And then once you're there, you're like, okay, it's a pretty view just to look down at the city of Reading, but there's not that much to do up there. Yeah. So how do you spend your time when you aren't working?
Oh man, I love life. I love spending time with my very closest friends. I have a group of friends that I've been friends with since high school.
Very nice.
We're all very close. We spend a lot of time together. I love boating. I'm fortunate enough and blessed, that we have a second home at the Jersey Shore, and we spend a lot of time on the water. Drawn to the water. Love to travel as much as I possibly can. I'm, trying to do that a lot more. Time's been an issue. Love gardening and plants, and I love cooking.
Wonderful. What's your
And live
favorite meal?
music. I love listening to live music.
What's your favorite meal to make?
All of it. We eat tacos a lot, so we like once a week we have tacos. So I'll switch it up on turkey tacos or beef tacos or mahi tacos or chicken tacos or street tacos.
So what time is dinner at your house now?
I know. We eat late, actually. We eat pretty late, 7, 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
But tacos are Redner's has these very, very thin taco shells. They're almost like paper thin and so delicate, and they're small. They're like Tia Maria or something. They're in a white box. Delicious. Like we're never going to go back to other taco shells because these are you just take a bite and they just melt in your mouth.
Well, that's good to know because we like tacos in our house too. So I'll have to check those out. Well, Tanya, thank you so much for being here. If any of our listeners want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
They can call me or text me on my cell, 610-587-2388. They can find me on my website, which is tanyamace.com, or, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Tanya Mace, the mortgage ace.
I was going to ask you about that.
Tanya Mace, the mortgage ace, which actually, funny story came about when I worked at Chase for a not so fun 8 or 9 months. Probably not my favorite. It was during the mortgage meltdown, so I kind of got caught in that whole era of what the heck is happening. But a friend of mine's, of course, because my Mace rhymed with Chase, started making these little rhymes, of my name, Tanya Mace, the mortgage ace puts a smile on your face. Going on and on from there. So I kind of took it, ran with it.
Well, it's a great tagline.
Yeah.
But thank you very much,
I
Tanya Mace.
appreciate you having me. This was fun.
Yeah, I this was great to catch up. So Tanya Mace from Guild Mortgage, and again, thank you to everyone for tuning in to another episode of Not Minding Your Own Business. Not minding my own business. Excuse me. Apparently, I haven't had enough.
Next time we can have me interview you on your show.
That would be fun.
Yeah. Well, let me know.
That. We'll do that. We'll do that.
Yeah.
That will be a lot of fun. But thank you everyone for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you next week for another episode of Not Minding My Own Business. All right.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you.